You know that Amber Alert? It lets us know on our phones when a missing child under the age of 17 has been abducted from whatever area you're currently at that moment. Whether you're standing in line at the supermarket, you're at home watching a movie, or you're at work, we get that notification on our phones, and more times than not, we roll our eyes, we go to the phone, we don't even look at the message, we just want the message gone. And we do that because we've been desensitized to those messages for quite a number of years now, sad to say. 9 out of 10 times when an Amber Alert goes out, the issue at hand is quickly resolved. Unfortunately, sometimes it is not. I am Lamont at large today. I am walking in a neighborhood in Arlington, Texas. I want to tell you a quick story about the girl behind the Amber Alert. That's a real person. Her name was Amber Hagerman. She was visiting her grandparents' house right up the street right here. We're gonna retrace her steps leading up to the abduction location, which is just right on the other side of this house right here. So without further ado, let's begin. It's January 13th, 1996. It is a cold day here in Arlington, Texas. Donna takes her 2 children, 9-year-old Amber and 5-year-old Ricky, to visit their grandparents, Glenda and Jimmy Whitson. They lived on the 300 block of Highland Drive, right around this corner. I want to say about 10 houses up from this corner. They get to their grandparents' house. Now it's around 2:30 p.m. or so. Amber asks if she can go riding her bike with her little brother. Now either one of the grandparents or Amber's mother, Donna, said, okay, that's fine, but don't go further than a block. This location would be about a block, and you have several blocks over on the other side of their home. So on that day, like a lot of kids when we were young, kind of don't listen. We kind of venture outside of our boundaries. So Amber and her brother, they're on their bicycles. They come down this street and they hang a right, and they're on their way to what used to be a Winn-Dixie supermarket, which is right on the other side of these homes right over here. Amber and Ricky riding their bikes right down that block right there. They hang a left and they're coming over here, and they cannot wait to get to the Winn-Dixie. Now the Winn-Dixie is this building right in front of you right here. It is no longer a Winn-Dixie. It is a Latino meat market, and they want to come here to ride their bikes. Now, why this specific location? Well, right in front of you is a ramp, and I suspect that these kids wanted to come here because when I was a kid and I had a bicycle, I would love something like this. They came and they would probably, maybe jump their bikes right off this ramp, down, up, go as fast as they can, and do it all over again. This is the location where Amber was riding her bicycle, January 13th, 1996. And there was a man whose house might have been either right there or right there. His name was Jim Keeble. He was in his mid-70s at the time. So Jim was working on a truck in his backyard, and he notices a black truck just kind of parked somewhere over here. And these kids, Ricky and Amber, they're just playing. He didn't pay it no mind. So Ricky all of a sudden wants to go back home. Maybe he started feeling a little bit weird because, he was told to not go further than a block away. So he leaves his sister. She stays around and she's just riding her bicycle. And as Jim Keeble, in one of these houses right here, might even be that house right on the other side of this wooden fence, sees a man in a black truck described as a maybe a late 80s, mid 80s, early 90s truck. It was black, had a short wheelbase. Behind the wheel is a man. He's either white or Latino, 20s to 30s, not quite 6 feet tall, average build at best. He's in the driver's seat. He jumps out of the truck, comes up behind Amber as she's on her bike, picks her up from under her arms, carries her to the driver's side of the truck, throws her in and takes off. And as he's doing this, she's like screaming for her life. All in front of Mr. Keevil. He immediately runs in his home and calls 911. Within 5 minutes, you got Arlington police, probably 3-4 cars right here. By the time there's an active investigation going on, Amber's grandfather comes over here to see what's going on because Amber hasn't came home, and he asked his grandson, where was she? He said, I left her right here. The police talked to him. All that is left is her pink bicycle, and her grandfather identified that as Amber's bicycle. This is, of course, like I said earlier, this is a memorial for Amber. And an artist just recently repainted this within the last few years. So now you have all of Arlington being inundated with not very much information. The information is that a man kidnapped this girl and she is nowhere to be found. This was big news all over North Texas, all over Texas. Amber would go missing, I believe, for the next 4 days. Currently, we are at 2908 Forest Hollow Drive. We're about 5 miles or so from the abduction location. Fast forward about 4 days after her abduction is January 17th, 1996. And there's a very bad rainstorm sweeping all over the Metroplex here. And right at about midnight, maybe a little bit before, maybe a little bit after, not really sure, a man that was in this general area here, right through this gate. Not sure what he was doing back here around midnight, but he was here. And by now, I mean, flyers, posters, and, you know, television, news broadcasts, everything, everywhere. Everyone knows the name Amber Hagerman, and her face has been plastered all over newspapers. And it is in this location right here is where the nude body of 9-year-old Amber Hagerman would be found. And she was, in fact, quickly identified. I'm not exactly sure where she was found, but it was right in this general area. And earlier I said about the rain, about the really bad rainstorm that particular night. Well, it unfortunately washed away a lot of any kind of a DNA evidence that would be at the crime scene that could possibly indicate the monster that committed this crime.